Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi Tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Every fiqhi principle, every ethical principle, and every doctrinal article of faith we have, it's all traced back to Tawheed. Islam is Tawheed. And when they say Islam is the religion of the fitrah, it's because the fitrah knows nothing but Tawheed, if it's not veiled. We have to speak about Islam in such a manner that if someone in the Amazon was to listen to us, or someone in Tanzania, or someone in England, it shouldn't make a difference. They should benefit. You have to speak in a manner which they can relate to you. You have to speak in a manner which their heart can be a recipient to your words. If that's not the case, then it shows the degree of veiling or contamination or blending with other than Tawheed, which happens, which makes that other person not be able to relate to you. Otherwise, Islam is the language of the fitrah, one's heart. And since everything is traced back to Tawheed, and some of you may be new to my talks, just for precaution's sake, with your permission, only this session, I have to explain what I mean by Tawheed, and then from the next session, inshallah, we'll speak about certain issues on spiritual wayfaring. And if there are any particular issues you would like me to sometimes mention, either independently or incorporated within the speeches, please feel free to tell me and I'll do my best. Moment to moment, I have a choice. I can speak into the microphone, I can right now go back. See, I can go back again. Front, backwards. This shows I have a choice. I can speak with you, I can leave. Well, maybe I can't leave, but yes. But the choice is there. But there's something which, in all these different free-willed actions that I do moment to moment, with every single action I do, which is based on my free will, there's no one can deny that. Not even, yes. But in every single action that I do, in that one action, there's something which is predestined. In every single action that I do. And there was no choice. I had no choice in that matter. And that matter is that I am journeying towards perfection, something better. The reason I do an action, any given action, is because I think it's a good thing to do right now. I think it's a better thing to do right now. And that's why I'm doing it. Even if someone wants to go and steal something from the bank, when he wakes up in the morning and plans the robbery, that also is because he thinks that is the best thing to do, or a good thing to do. One is predestined to move towards perfection. It may be perfection in virtue, it may be perfection in vice. Whether it's in virtue or vice, that's my choice. But the fact that I am traveling towards more and more perfection alone, that's not a choice. Everyone is doing it. Even the idol worshipper, the thief, and the Muslim. So that is something which you can always start by speaking to people about. The concept of perfection. But it may be perfection in virtue, maybe in perfection in vice, but it's the international language, so to speak. You speak of Kamal, because everyone is after it. If you start speaking about Kamal, everyone will be listening. Even the most renowned of market consultants, when they speak and everyone listens to them, because ingrained in their talk, it's all about gaining Kamal, and everyone's listening to what they're saying. Everyone is praising Allah when they're listening to that marketing consultant, but they're unaware of it. Why? Because we believe Allah is perfection, absolute perfection. Perfection in all aspects. Because at the end of the day, when you look at the things around you, they vary in their degrees of perfection. And that's very self-evident. When you look at a plant, an animal, a human, you look at the sun, the moon, the other stones, other plants, and so on and so forth, you see that they vary in their degrees of perfection. Even amongst different actions, you see there's a difference in their degree of exhibiting and displaying attributes of perfection. Some people may enjoy a good car and a good house, and that's it for them. That's in their journey towards perfection, that's all they got to know of in relation to perfection. It's a beautiful car and it's a very good house. They never went beyond that. And if they did, it was to get a better car and a better car or a better house. Those who made some effort went and they looked for a job, a profession, which a profession has certain attributes which a car or house doesn't have. For example, the curing of a doctor, the designing of an architect, and so on and so forth. These are also attributes of perfection. Some people want to increase their existential attributes of perfection, and they go and get a job. Then sometimes we see prophets, men of God, where they display utmost patience, generosity, forgiveness. These are also attributes of perfection. You see, that the profession didn't have, the car didn't have, the house didn't have. But even prophets, for example, they're limited in time and space. And then, with your rationality, you should come to this conclusion, be you Muslim or non-Muslim, that that which is perfect in all aspects and has no limitation, that is pure existence. Now, where did we get this pure existence from all of a sudden? Because we started with premises like I exist, you exist, different things around me exist, and they contain differing degrees of perfection. We're only talking about existing things. But existing things in a particular shape and form. All these things that we're acknowledging, they emanated from pure existence, i.e., with every given thing, microphone, table, camera, plants, stones, you can't imagine them existence-less. They're all existing. And so pure existence you see as something which everything depends upon. And what your rationality calls and concludes as pure existence, the theologians conclude and call it Allah. But that's what we mean by Allah. It's pure existence. Nothing is Allah less. Nothing is existence less. Allah doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. Pure existence doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. If this microphone, which is existence in a particular shape and form, has a beginning and an end. But pure existence, no. Because if pure existence has a beginning, what was there before that? Either you say something or you say no thing. If you say something, it proves the point that this existence was still. If you say there was no thing, that's impossible. Non-existence, there is no such place. There is no place where Allah is empty. There's no place that existence is empty. It's all existence, manifesting in different shapes, forms, since pre-eternity to post-eternity. Existence has no end. If there's an end, what is there after that? Something proves our point. No thing, it's impossible. So since pre-eternity to post-eternity, pure existence was, and in some traditions it says Allah was and there was nothing with him, and he's now as he was before. Because from the very beginning to the very end, it was all pure existence alone. Everything else was just manifesting pure existence. So when a companion of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said Allahu Akbar, and the Imam said Allahu Akbar min ayyi shay, that Allah is greater than what thing? The companion said Allah is greater than everything. The Imam replied, it's in Usul Kafi, Haddattahu, you've limited Allah. Look, if you just pay attention here, that he's saying Allah is greater than everything. By saying Allah is greater than everything, you've limited Allah. It's a form of shirk. Why? Because you see Allah on one side and you see things on the other side, and you say Allah is greater than these things, i.e. those things that you're seeing mutually exclusive to Allah, you're assigning independence to them. Whereas other than pure existence, we have no thing else. It's all manifesting pure existence. Not that these things are on one side and Allah is on the other, but Allah is greater than them. No. In another tradition, in the same chapter in the very noble book of Usul Kafi, which is a compendium of traditions of Ahlul Bayt, there, to another companion, the Imam asks the same question, and the Imam says, do we have anything else for Allah to be greater than that? Is there anything else for you to say Allah is greater than that? Because everything else is a manifestation of pure existence. What do you mean? That pure existence is greater than existence in a particular shape and form. There's a unity between these two. It's like saying in a clothes shop, everything is thread. But this thread manifests as a shirt, pair of trousers, pair of gloves. And then someone says, thread is greater. And then someone asks them, thread is greater than what? The thread is greater than the shirt, it's greater than the gloves, it's greater than the hat. Then the answer comes, do we have anything but thread in this shop for you to say thread is greater than that? There is nothing but thread. That hat, is it thread, holy, with a W, or is it something other than thread? It's only thread. The hat is all thread. It's only when you deep down, the heart believes that there's thread on one side and then the hat is something different. Now with the clothes shop, no one says that. With Allah, everyone says that. It's something we've taught our children in a very bad way. And that's a form of shirk, although it's out of ignorance. When the hat is warming my head, do I attribute the warming to the hat or to the thread? The hat is just a label. The hat is nothing but it's a name, it's a title, a label, it's all thread. But this thread is manifesting in a particular form and shape. We give this name, we give it a name, we call it a hat. Okay, we call it a hat. Now, someone calls this a hat, okay. Now, let's imagine someone gives you some spectacles called atomic spectacles, where you see the atomic structure of everything. When you wear the spectacles, what you used to call a hat, what are you going to call it now? Still a hat? A bunch of atoms, no? So look, the name has changed now. That was just a name. Names change. These are things that we coin. I'tibarat. We coin these names. The reality is one, pure existence. Now you want to give it another name. You call it atoms. Then someone comes and says, let me give you another pair of spectacles. It's called, for example, protonic or electron spectacles, and you wear it. What are you going to call it now? You don't even see atoms anymore. You give it a new name. Has it changed? Has anything changed in reality? Nothing's changed. But names change. But in reality, nothing has changed. You just change your spectacles, you're giving different names now. Then someone gives you another pair of spectacles, like quark spectacles. Same hat, but now you're wearing it. You called it atoms in a particular form, then you called it electrons, now you're calling it quarks. After quarks, and then after quarks, keep on continuing. It will never end. It will keep on getting smaller and smaller, but it will never end. Because pure existence doesn't have an end. But the names change. There's a unity between Allah, pure existence, and creation, manifestations of that pure existence. Now, you look at the innumerable blessings in this world. For example, this is beautiful. Beauty. He is listening, listener. He is seeing, seer. He is strong, power. He is sustaining, sustainer. He is forgiving, forgiver. All these existing things are displaying attributes of perfection. And all of them, and they're innumerable, even in the material realm of existence, the bounties of Allah are innumerable. They never come to an end. If you remember the first sermon of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Even in the material realm. In this material realm, keep on traveling, keep on going. You'll never come to an end. And wherever you go, there's matter. Don't think matter, you have to see matter. Matter, physical matter, you either see it with the five senses or you measure it with the five senses. Radio waves, you can't see it, but you can measure it with your eyes, for example. Or with your ears, rather. Okay? In this physical realm, keep on going, it will never come to an end. Even, for example, a black hole. Don't say there's non-existence in it. Even there's magnetic fields, for example. Everywhere is pure existence. And that particular interpretation of the Big Bang Theory, which from a few particles, everything begins to emanate, when outside the particles there's non-existence, only a few particles. From that everything grows, and outside that we have non-existence. That interpretation is wrong, because we don't accept non-existence. If you explain the Big Bang Theory in a way which is on a par with Irfani philosophical principles, that's okay. But you can't force us to believe in non-existence, because Allah doesn't sleep. Pure existence doesn't sleep. It's always manifesting. It's always manifesting. Since pre-eternity to post-eternity, it's always manifesting. Man arafa nafsa faqad arafa rabba. One who knows one's soul knew one's Lord. Yes, Ayatollah Hassan Zadeh Omri has given 100 interpretations of this prophetic hadith from the Holy Messenger. And one of them was this, that look at your soul. It never stops, your soul never stops acting. It never stops manifesting. Yes, you may physically sleep, but the mind is still working. Your mind never sleeps, is never dormant, your mind. Pure existence is never dormant. It never sleeps. This idea of God rests on the seventh day, no, we don't accept it. Another interpretation is, instead of soul, I'll use mind for now, but the relationship between your mind and the mental images of your mind. What's the relationship between the mind and the mental images of the mind? Is the mind somewhere one part and the mental images the other part? And then you say the mind is bigger than those? No. The mental images are nothing but a manifestation, an action of the mind's working. And the same way that the mind never sleeps, Allah never sleeps. Whoever gets to know one's soul will get to know Allah. And the unity between the mind and those mental images is the same as the unity between Allah and creation. There are three different interpretations of that one hadith. He's given 97 more. Then another point is that in any given thing, we have a question that does pure existence manifest in any given thing? Does pure existence manifest in its entirety, or does some of pure existence manifest in any single given thing? Does anyone want to try and answer that? I'll just ask that again one more time. Imagine this is a stone or a plant or a microphone, doesn't matter. Is pure existence, with all those attributes that it has, is it manifesting in this in its entirety, or is it manifesting in this plant or stone partially? Partially. Can you explain that a bit more? Why you say that? Yes. Yes. Yes.
Different attributes of the existence, the pure existence.
Yes. Right. Is that what you meant? Yes, yes. There's one problem with that. We say that Allah doesn't sleep. We say that Allah, pure existence, manifests moment to moment. But not even a single attribute in relation to any given thing. When we say La ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm, Allah doesn't sleep, no rest or no sleep for Allah, that's in relation not only to the whole cosmos in its entirety, but every single thing. So all of Allah's attributes are manifesting in every single, whatever qualifies as a thing. So all of Allah's attributes are in play, with this, with that, with you, with me, but to varying degrees. Allah's attributes in their entirety may manifest more in a human compared to a plant. But that plant also sees, hears, is merciful, is forgiving, everything, has knowledge. Because Allah doesn't sleep. this pure existence in its entirety. Whatever is a manifestation of pure existence, that manifestation, be it a stone or a plant, all of Allah's attributes are manifested in it. But maybe to a low degree. But not that only 2 attributes are manifesting in it, the rest are asleep. Allah doesn't sleep in relation to some over the other. He's a just Lord. But when it comes to, let's say, 100 attributes of Allah, why does some things manifest more, those 100 attributes, than others? Well, that's because of the nature of that thing. It can only take so much. Animals can only manifest those 100 attributes so much. Plants only so much. Humans only so much. If, God forbid, humans, if they manifest those 100 attributes less than an animal, the Quran says they're even worse than animals. And it's possible that humans manifest those attributes less than stones. We have it in traditions of Ahlul Bayt. We may go through that one day. And here the Irfani view becomes a practical lesson to take from this much Tawheed for now, is the respect Islam gives to all things. The sanctity Islam gives to all things, because it's a manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second, whatever is good, full stop, definitely. We don't believe in evil in the absolute sense. Absolute evil doesn't exist. We've said all that is its existence. All that is its existence. How can you say something is bad? We don't believe in evil. It's all good. Imam Khomeini rahmatullah alayhi, when he succeeded with the Islamic Revolution, one of the Ayatollahs in Najaf said something incredible, and he said it, in public. It was a very impolite thing, they said. They said to Imam Khomeini, how come now you've gone to Iran, you're killing people, but when you were in Najaf, you wouldn't kill a fly? Ah, look. It was a very poor statement he made, but he opened a new chapter, what we didn't know about Imam Khomeini. And then this came to light. So we thank that scholar, because this was something only in close circles they knew about Imam Khomeini. What was it? He wouldn't kill a fly. Notable scholars in his house have said this, that not only he would not kill a fly. Do you know those things where you smack a fly and, what do they call them? Pardon? Yeah, I can't hear. Yes, it's okay. Sweater? Oh, swatter, right. Yes. We have those in Iran too, swatter, and people keep on, yes. In England we have these liquids where you put it on one ant. When it goes in its hole, the whole army, they all die. It's a more sophisticated way they have, yes. But look at the Irfani way. Not only he would not kill a fly, when people would come in his territory, he wouldn't allow anyone to kill a fly in his house. I.e., the flies and the ants are all under his security in his house. And he has a say in relation to that. Ground rules, so to speak. But where does this come from, this mentality? And then the same person goes and orders, for example, executions. It was very surprising what that scholar said, because the executions, it was an Islamic order. We have a judiciary in Islam. It has its own rules. Amirul Mu'mineen would execute it, the Holy Prophet would execute it. It's Islam, it's in the Quran. That was part of Islam, it wasn't his own doing. During the time of Amirul Mu'mineen, thieves or people who would be deserving of the Islamic punishment, for example a finger being chopped, they would beg Amirul Mu'mineen to chop their finger, because Amirul Mu'mineen is doing it. It was a great honor for them. Even if Amir would say, no, there's no need, go. He said, no, I want this to be done. I want to be forgiven. That's part of Islam. It's not their own doing. But a fly is also pure existence manifesting. And all of Allah's attributes are manifesting there. When someone has that kind of worldview, it takes a bit to go and kill someone. Yeah, I mean, some people, we have it. Some people who say we don't kill ants or these kind of things. But what's the criterion? You see them disrespect people. How can you respect an ant or an animal but disrespect people? That's a contradiction in terms. That's a sign of an abnormal psychology. They haven't grown properly. The Aql should have told them this. If Imam Khomeini's stance on a fly was that much, imagine the love he had for people, the respect he had for people who manifest more of Allah's attributes than a fly. But where does this idea come from? It comes from the idea that pure existence is manifesting in all things. All things are a manifestation of pure existence. And pure existence in its entirety is manifesting in all things. So evil doesn't exist. So when I steal something, why do we say that's haram? On the natural cause and effect scale of things, the natural order of the cosmos, the natural existing nature of the universe and beyond the universe, whatever, it's all good because it's all a manifestation of pure existence. But when it comes to the soul and you commit an action, for example stealing, killing, cheating, lying, backbiting, whatever, we say that's haram. What do we mean by that? It means that with that action, nothing in the order of the universe is bad. It's all good. But by doing that action, you have become distanced from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sure, this I'll open up a bit more maybe in future sessions. It's a legislative thing. It's not a providential, natural cause and effect reality which is bad. Legislatively, when you're distanced from Allah through an action, that action is bad or it's unethical. When you're closer to Allah, that action is good. It's ethical. And what do we mean by getting closer to Allah, getting more distanced away from Allah? How many attributes of Allah are you manifesting? And to what degree, rather? To what degree are you manifesting Allah's justice, Allah's forgiveness, Allah's patience, Allah's generosity, Allah's revenge, Allah's wrath, Allah's majesty, Allah's all these attributes? Because the more attributes of Allah you manifest, the more Allah-like you become, the more closer to Allah you are. And that's the whole purpose of fiqh. That's the whole purpose of fiqh. These basic legislative do's and don'ts. It's the letter of the law. It's just a do or don't. But the batin, the inner aspect of this physical action is getting you closer or more distant away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why fiqh is very important. Jurisprudence, the letter of the law, the sharia is very important. Because this very sharia has inner esoteric dimensions which get you closer and closer and closer to Allah. And that's why they're there. Okay, I think I'll stop there with your permission. If there are any questions, we can continue with that. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. كل شيء هالك كل من عليها فان. Surah Rahman, yes. So everything on earth, عليها, the ha, if I returns on earth, because Arad is mentioned in the previous verse. Everything is fan. It's all annihilated. What does that mean?
Right now?
Well done, well done. You've made my job very easy. Right now, because it's a present participle the Quran is using. Right now, it's annihilated. It's like the thread and the gloves. Right now, it's all thread. That gloves, that title, is all annihilated in the thread. Some people say, no, one day it will happen. Those people who say that, inadvertently or out of ignorance, they're saying this phone is a metaphor. It's a figure of speech. It's figurative. It's allegorical. Because it means it's not fan, annihilated now, but it's going to be annihilated. But Allah says right now it's annihilated. Yes. They say, well, no, that's a figure of speech. It's allegorical. It means in the future. Like you say, this person's a doctor. He's a medical student. He's a doctor. You say, hi, come on, doctor. They say, no, this is just a figure of speech because he's going to be a doctor. We can call him a doctor now in allegorical terms. This is a very big theme. I don't want to really go through it, but just always bear this in mind, that there's no allegory or metaphor or figure of speech in the Quran. It's all haqiqi. And it's a deficiency attributed to Allah if you say this word of Allah is allegorical. Now, I don't want to expand upon that. It's a very deep subject, inshallah, another time, or it requires a series. But yes, that's a very important point you mentioned.
Maulana,
Yes,
I have a question
sure.
in relation to the example that you gave about the plant living, breathing, knowing.
Yes.
Sometimes in our Western education systems, we're taught about animate and inanimate, tangible and intangible characteristics of things. So how do we come out of that way of thinking where we look at things as living and non-living and rather look at them as manifesting Allah's attributes to certain degrees? Because they're I feel like two different concepts, yeah.
Two different worldviews. Are they wrong, or is one of them wrong? Not necessarily, but one is more perfect than the other. Why the difference? Because these two schools of scholars or scientists within Islam are looking at the reality or nature from different lenses. When you look at through a rational theological point of view, you see animals with life and you see stones without life. And your rationality makes that judgment. So through the lens of rationality, that much you understand. But your rationality also tells you there may be something beyond, I don't get it right now. But this is animate, this is inanimate. Many of the philosophers use this. Many of the urafa, when they're discussing philosophy, they use the same classification. But when you look at it through the lens of irfan, and that idea that pure existence doesn't sleep, and that all his attributes are manifesting, you come to this reality, even if you can't prove it. You can prove it from an Irfani point of view, but you can't prove it to show others. You can't prove it, but the Prophet did. When the pebbles in his hand, the story of the pebbles speaking, saying La ilaha illallah, or the walls saying La ilaha illallah, the tree saying La ilaha illa ana. Okay. So it's possible. Now, I'm not saying the speaking is exactly the physical speaking we do, but there's a speaking involved. There's a knowledge, there's a perception involved. Even with plants, even with this table. The minbar of the Holy Prophet was crying out of sorrow when they wanted to make a new minbar. You know the story? It's in Medina now. They have a column where it was the Prophet's minbar, if I'm not mistaken. And then they wanted to change it, and that piece of wood then uttered expressions of sorrow that you're leaving me. It was an honor for you to have sat on me, for example. And many Urafat, they see certain things in the cosmos. They may call them schizophrenic or in the Western world because they think they're crazy, but no. These things exist, they're hearing real things. They need not be physical all the time. Because it's a reality that they can see. Yeah, so different scientists within different schools, fiqh, theology, irfan, philosophy, they look at the reality from a particular angle. For example, they want to study the woman. What is a woman? You see, the faqih looks at the woman and gives the criterion of, an anatomic criterion, and says the woman is defined as this. The arif says my definition of a woman is that entity which manifests these attributes of Allah. You see, both of them are correct, but one of them is more perfect than the other. But the reason why we have differences is because they're analyzing a given thing from different lens, from a different angle. And they're both right, therefore, because it's based on proper principles. It's not willy-nilly. They've derived it from the verses of the Holy Quran, traditions of Ahlul Bayt, from Aql. These are sources where we derive these things. But the faqih uses traditions of Ahlul Bayt with a particular lens and comes with these conclusions. The Arif uses the same traditions, but through another lens comes through other conclusions, and so on and so forth. So everyone is, as long as it's based on standard principles, it's all correct. But some are more perfect than the other. That's different to the example of the elephant in the room. I'm not going through that analogy, because they say an elephant is this or elephant is that. That's something a bit different to what I'm trying to say.
You mentioned that there is no such thing as absolute evil.
Yes.
When an evildoer commits evil, that's within the scope, within the realm of godly existence, within the pure existence as you define. So how can one be held accountable if he is within that pure existence and he has done evil for whatever reason it may be, love of this world or whatever it is, how can he be held accountable to a degree that he experiences the kind of pain and punishment that's mentioned in the Holy Quran?
We'll discuss this with time. I'll just give a quick answer, but we're going to discuss this because I want to bring verse of the Quran and to prove the point, and that would mean another lecture, which I don't think you're ready for right now. So here, yes, that evil person who, let's say, gets a knife and keeps on thrashing people with a knife, That knife is a manifestation of pure existence, it's good. The movements, the physical movements, manifestation of pure existence, it's good. The actually going into manifestation of all of Allah's attributes, it's good. So what's bad then? As you said, everything here, it's a manifestation of Allah's attributes. By doing that action, are they getting closer to Allah, or are they becoming distant from Allah? The soul. And the hereafter is a manifestation of the soul. Sometimes doing that with a knife, on the outside is the same, it's good. But someone does that and gets closer to Allah. Someone does that but gets distance from Allah. We'll speak more, inshallah, but that's just in a nutshell. Sure.
We as human beings, our soul, as far as our memory can recall, a certain age.
Is a certain?
A certain age, like from childhood. I can remember what was there from my childhood. Prior to that, it was nothing. It was not there. So when it comes to the human soul, is it something that is initiated at a certain point in time? If you can elaborate on this with regards to what you spoke about, there being no such thing as no thing.
Yes. So when at fertilization with the sperm and the egg, you get a zygote. It's unicellular, it's one cell. And it's material. It's material. This zygote is a material entity. The Christians say there's an immaterial soul in that entity. Modern medicine has disproved that, because at the 4-cell stage, when it grows and pairs and grows and divides, what they did, the blastocyst, the 4-cell stage, they segregated the embryo, the 4-cell embryo. It's possible at that stage. So now you have 4 cells. It was one embryo. You now have 4 cells. And then with each cell you put in one womb. The result was 4 animals. If the immaterial soul was active or was existent at the time of fertilization or conception, which the Catholics believe, how can something immaterial be divided? It's impossible. But it's material and it can be divided. Then in the womb, this holy, with a W, material physical entity is evolving. Right now it has a piece of mass, length, breadth, whatever, existence. Then a bit of metabolism as it grows. It's growing, metabolism, excretion, all these are different attributes which it's beginning to acquire. It keeps on evolving until a point when what was a unicellular, purely material thing has now acquired the ability to sense, perceive. Look, at around, for example, 4 months gestation, 4 lunar months. What's the first perception that a fetus has? It's touch. It's touch. This touch perception, it's a mental thing. It's like when you see something, when I see this lamp, is this lamp in me? Or am I seeing the perception of that lamp, or sun, or moon? I'm not seeing that exact sun. That's much bigger than me. I'm seeing a sense perception. An image of that is within me. That is immaterial. It's a semi-immaterial reality. Like our mental pictures that we have. The 5 senses are all semi-immaterial. Seeing, touching, not the actual sense. The sense perception is immaterial. At 4 months, we see the child is moving volitionally, not through gravity or reflexes. It's moving volitionally. It's escaping fear or pain. It moves this way, moves that way. These have all been tested, yes. It may be very rudimentary, but it's moving, and it's not moving gravitationally or reflexly. It wants to move. This volition, it's immaterial. Volition. So all of a sudden, what was once, and from day one we call it soul. It doesn't matter. The soul was material. No one is scared to say that. The soul was that at the unicellular embryo, the soul was material. But this material soul, through evolving in the womb of the mother, at a certain point becomes material-immaterial. From then on, it signifies that the existence of the immaterial soul, the me, the I, starts. You say, I move, I touch, I sense. The I starts then. That's what we mean by soul or spirit usually. But even from day one, it is a soul, but it's not me. The I hasn't started. The I starts when this starts. When does that start? For everyone it's different. It's like puberty. But 1400 years ago, the Sharia says, look, I'm going to set a deadline. The deadline is 4 lunar months. From then on, there's an I here. And that's what the blood money is like, me and you. It's a person now. The I starts to exist. There was no I before. It's like the book, which comes from a tree, the pages, you know. There's no book, but from the tree, you chop the tree down and slice the things, go through the different procedures, and eventually you have a book. Here, the I didn't exist. It didn't exist. It came around through what? Evolution of matter. But it will post-eternally exist. The I will never, because immaterial things never come to an end. Material things come to an end. This has a beginning and an end. But immaterial things, some of them have no beginning, no end, but with this, some of them, like our soul, has a beginning, but it has no end. Because immateriality has no end. It can't end. It doesn't stop. It never ceases to exist once it comes. Okay, I think we'll stop there.
Our soul also didn't have beginning from Alam Azhar.
Yes, that's another issue. Yes. If we don't be careful how we explain that, we'd be speaking like the Hindus and reincarnation. There's no problem with saying the soul was from the very beginning. But how are we going to explain it? This soul which I have now was? Or was something in Allah's knowledge since pre-eternity? But not me. Not me. That has to be explained, yes. That's another.
How can we define fitra in English? Do we have
I think, I don't know, but fitra in Arabic, it's creation. And then fitra is on the paradigm of fi'la. You know, fi'la. In Arabic morphology, whatever is on a par with the paradigm fi'la, like fitra, it brings the added dimension of type of. It's a typological definition. So fitra, fatara comes from creating. That's the root letters. It's in the paradigm fi'la, and therefore it means a type of creation. And therefore the fitra of everything is different. And for us, it's our innate nature. For the plant is its own fitra. It means type of creation. So with every given thing, it has its own type of connection, type of creation. I think we're going over too much now.